What makes for a great story? It's a simple question that gets multiple variable answers. Most people would say it's not just one thing, that it's many different elements that come together to create this enjoyable, coherent narrative. You have writing, pacing, character consistency, relationships, originality, good setup and nice payoff, and blah blah blah. This is an important question for me to ask because I'm honestly still not sure about my answer while making this video because I feel like I'm in a bit of a dilemma. This shit is annoying. I have two different sides to the argument and I kinda agree with both, but I might lean one way more. Anyway, totally unrelated, today we're talking about The Last of Us. Okay, I know. Fans are about to hound me and kill me for calling out the smallest little critic of this show, and who knows, you guys might be right. But I love The Last of Us too, and it hurts me that I'm gonna talk a bit of smack about it. Well, to be fair, the show wasn't all that, so I don't really care from that regard, but I'm kidding. Just kidding. Seriously though, my criticism today is kinda solely focused towards the show, so just a nice heads up and a spoiler warning because I might go a bit into detail. Don't say I didn't warn you. And like the video too. That's a warning for liking the video. Thank you. Now I know I blathered on for the past couple of minutes while basically saying nothing and not stating what my actual problem here is. But hold on, I'll get to that. Now we can all agree that the HBO show of The Last of Us was a smash hit show, right? Very gritty, very acty, very cool. Most would agree that it's the best video game adaptation ever even. And honestly, I agree. It's the best. By a lot. But let's be real. The main reason for that is because we never actually have any good video game adaptations. But still, it's quite an achievement. The problem is the video game we're adapting here is The Last of Us, arguably the greatest video game story ever told. So even if you're the best adaptation, it doesn't mean you live up to the expectations. And in my opinion, the show had one, I won't say fatal, but a bit major flaw that I don't know about others, but to me, kind of undermined the whole experience a little bit. Now I watched this video by one of my favorite video essayists, The Closer Look, about The Last of Us, and he was talking about how not being fully loyal to the source material improved the show in all these different ways. Like how they changed the way the virus happens and gave it more backstory and realism, or the way they build towards the first infected we meet, or the way they showcase Joel's trauma. That one. Focus on that one, we will get back to that. But also giving other characters more backstory like Bill and his relationship, or Henry, or Riley, but that one kinda annoys me a bit. Most boring episode of the show in my opinion, sorry. Being this close to the end, and this is what you give us. And I know people are gonna be like, well, it gives us more insight into Ellie, but, well, I found it unnecessary. Not everything needs a flashback for us to understand. Ellie's character shows the things she's been through with her actions. But back to topic. One of the other cool things he mentioned along with that was the focus. That because of the medium it's made in, TV in this case, it allowed the story to not need to only focus on Joel and Ellie, and how that was a good thing because it allowed us to explore more characters. Now, I agree with that part, but, and this is a big but for me, so brace yourselves, I think that was a win, but at the same time gave the show a pretty major flaw. I think the fact that we didn't get to spend all our time and all our focus on Joel and Ellie detracted from the story. Yes, I know. Yeah, everyone mad. Let me explain. Okay, so while I was watching The Last of Us show, I always felt like something was lacking. On the surface, it seemed like everything was working right. They had these super amazing looking set pieces, talented actors for our beloved characters, and they were adapting the show pretty loyally while still adding some pretty cool new elements. Most of the stuff we got new I really liked as an addition, but as I later came to find out, they're not really an addition so much as a replacement. One of the other reasons I felt the show was lacking is because I found it to be a bit soulless. I don't know why, still to this day. I can't answer that question. Everything seems to be done right, but why I felt like the show had no soul, I have no clue. But that's why that is not the main topic of this video. Back to my point. You see, The Last of Us is a pretty simple story, right? Bad man is dragged into going on a journey with little girl to save humanity. That's the main plot, and it's very simple. The themes of The Last of Us are loss, grief, selfishness, love. There are some others, but these are the major ones. It makes what The Last of Us really is about to be the relationship that Joel and Ellie slowly develop as the game goes on. And that's where I think the show went wrong. Let's get one thing clear. The Last of Us is a 9-episode TV show, and so of course it's much shorter than the video game. But to add on top of that, an hour and 20-minute episode out of those is dedicated to what was in the game a bit of a minor character. Bill, that is. And don't get me wrong, that was probably one of my favorite episodes. but I'm here to talk about its impact. Another episode, the Riley episode, also dedicated to explore Ellie's past. Take into account that they don't even meet until the end of episode 1, and they don't start on their solo journey until episode 3. That gives us about 5 episodes of real Joel and Ellie time. That's one of the problems, but it leads into another. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like there was a lot more early tension between Joel and Ellie in the game versus the TV show. I mean, in the TV show, by episode 3, they're quite friendly, Joel and Ellie. And by episode 4, there's pretty much no tension left between them. One of the most important elements in The Last of Us is showcasing how hard it is for their relationship to come because of their pasts, especially because of Joel's past. And that leads me to my most important point of all. Something I might even come close to considering character assassination. But let's talk about that. My main gripe with Joel in the show is that he just doesn't feel like the Joel I know. Joel is a grumpy old man who's been through everything and who despises the world around him. Joel in the TV show had a best friend / possible intimate relationship with Tess. He went on double dates with his buddies Bill and Frank. He's worried about his little brother Tommy. That is not the Joel I know. In the game, Joel doesn't want to go to Tommy's by his own volition. He only goes there because it was Tess's dying wish. In the show, they turned Tess's dying wish into Bill and Frank, and that Joel from the beginning wanted to go find Tommy, which is completely unlike him in the game. Joel in the game just doesn't want anything or anyone around him. I mean, his whole focus initially is to get what they want from Marlene and get back home. He doesn't want to meet new people. He doesn't care about saving humanity. He's a violent, brutal, bad man who showcases it time and time again. One of the things I disagree with in the Closer Looks video I've seen is the scene at the end of the first episode when Joel is confronted with his trauma from the death of his daughter, and he freezes. Just completely freezes. Then goes crazy and punches the life out of the soldier in front of him while scared. I don't know about you, but I never saw Joel as an uncontrollably violent man. He is violent, but more calculated. Anyway, that's not my issue with this though. The Closer Look said that this is better in his opinion than the game, where they just had a scene where Joel casually kills the soldier and moves on. Soldiers, actually. Here, he gets to confront his trauma and is able to showcase to us how broken he is. But I disagree. I don't think you need to show a literal example of him re-experiencing what happened to him for us to see his problems. Joel's complete indifference and detachment from the world in the game is what shows us how broken truly he is. A man who's lost everything and who doesn't want anything anymore. That to me always was his character and what made it so good. He doesn't whimper at the face of trouble, he moves through it like nothing. There's a really good scene in the game that they removed from the show, but it's very simple. It's supposed to be in the scene where Joel tells Tommy to take Ellie. See, in the game, Joel acts on the surface like he just wants to get rid of her and go back. But we all know that in reality, he's just afraid of getting too close. In the show, he just blurts out that he's old and he's afraid she's not gonna survive with him. But that's not the point I want to talk about, even though that's bad on its own. The part that they removed, which is here where Tommy tells Joel that he found in his old things this photo, and he shows him a photo of Joel and his daughter Sarah. And Joel simply ignores it and says that he doesn't want it. Subtext, man. What's so hard about subtext? Why did they remove that from the show? There's one scene in the show that shows Joel's indifference, and it's only in the beginning, and you don't really feel it for the most part in the rest of the show. It's the one where that woman is afraid of picking up the dead child corpse, and Joel just comes in and throws the corpse with the rest of the trash like it's nothing. It's crazy, they're always talking in the show about how bad of a man Joel is, but you never really get to see his violence until the very end. Like, I think the ending was pretty great, but it just didn't have as much of an impact because I didn't feel like I saw a broken, violent man regain his humanity through his relationship with this little girl. I feel like I saw a mildly flawed individual with a bit of darkness become friends with someone new. I mean, in the game, Ellie is the first real person who gets him to come out of his shell. He considers Tess just a business partner, or at least on the surface. And he didn't even really know Bill. So yeah, I think it diminishes from their relationship if Joel had a couple of besties throughout the past 20 years. The scene where Joel and Ellie have their real fight, when they're about to break up, is one of the most captivating scenes in video game history, because of everything that comes before. But here, even though it's copied word for word basically, it just doesn't have the same meaning. Maybe this was, for Neil Druckmann, a different way of approaching the story, and maybe it was a nice way of going about it, but man, everyone was talking about how this is so accurate to the game, and yes, maybe they copy set pieces and scenes, but integral parts of the story are changed quite a bit. And I was coming to see it through the lens of this being a copy of The Last of Us. Maybe that lessened my experience. And also, what is this PG-ass violence that they have in this show? It's an HBO show, and yet for some reason, I haven't seen one bit of gore in it. The infected are barely seen, so there's not much of it with those, and I just didn't really feel like there was that much violence. And I feel like I can even prove that they made it less violent in the show, because there are two moments that were kind of copied exactly, but with the gore removed from them. It's when Joel and Ellie arrive at that town and get attacked by raiders, but where in the game Joel smashes through the guy in front of him with the car and keeps going, in the show the guy is just able to get away. Another one of these is at the end, where Joel is saving Ellie and the doctor tries to keep him away. In the game, Joel takes the knife the doctor is pointing at him and stabs him in the neck with it. But in the show, he just shoots him with a little bullet. That's one last small gripe I have that I felt like it made me not as immersed. It's HBO, guys. Give us some violence. In the end, I find that while these tweaks that were made to the story are nice on the surface, the way they impacted the real important part of the whole thing was a negative. Like, I saw a post of someone talking about how the addition of the cordyceps and the reveal of the way Ellie's immune kinda means that they can make more immune kids, and that makes the ending kind of useless and all that. But who the fuck even cares? That's not what the story is about. If it was, then The Last of Us would have been just another generic zombie bullshit story like ones we've seen a million times before. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Watch this video next for good luck, and subscribe. See ya.